Hello, everybody, and welcome to Uncomfortable. This is season 2 with Talking Crap with Cody. I am your host, Cody Harder. This episode is actually an interview I did with a nerdcore rapper called Ben Knight. He is a very cool guy to talk to. So, just bear through the podcast, listen to it. It's about an hour and a half long. When you make it to the very end of the episode, we're gonna have a special song that he wants to debut on this podcast. So bear through to the end. Listen to the song. It's called "The Lighter Side of the Dark Night," and yeah, Ben Knight. He's amazing. So hope you guys enjoy. All right, I'm sitting here, well, not in person, but I'm with a man who basically one day I just get a friend request on Facebook and was just, nothing different. I was like, okay, well, it's just somebody that is, looking for new friends. I didn't really know what the plan was or whatever. So I kind of checked him out and went through. Noticed that he was kind of into a lot of the same stuff I was into as far as music goes, and he seemed like he was, really good into all the nerdy stuff, comic books, movies, whatnot. And then come to find out he was a nerdcore rapper, which, I mean, I've been listening to nerdcore rap since 2 years now. Everybody knows that my buddy Greg has been kind of a big person into that. We talked about that in the other podcast, The Basement Dwellers. But without any further ado, I'll introduce him. Ben Knight, how's it going?
Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. And you know what? Here's a little behind the scenes, as it were. Introducing myself to Cody was kind of it's what we in the music industry refer to as networking. Cody just happened to be one of those random people. Not that you're not special, Cody. Because unfortunately, like
most of these people know I'm not.
Well, like the way Facebook works, is kind of a giant jip. If you are somebody who's trying to get your music or just whatever your business is, or whatever, it's so hard to do because the way their algorithm works is like. So, for instance, like I run two Facebook pages. One is kind of more of a personal page that I turned into kind of a business page, and then I have a business page for my music and everything else. Now the problem is like I can post, something. I'm just like, hey, how's it going, everybody? Like, woo, it's Tuesday or whatever. And even though I have 5,000 followers, maybe 400 people might see that message. And it's just because of the weird algorithm that Facebook. So like, if you have 5,000 people, just because you post something, it doesn't mean that all 5,000 of those people are going to see it. So what you have to end up doing is kind of like, recycling is the wrong word, but you just kind of find a way to monitor and see who actually is looking at what you're posting and going, okay, well, clearly these 1,800 people here do not give a crap about what I'm doing. So you just kind of go, okay, well, bye, and then add 1,800 more people. And, it's funny because, people think that, I mean, honest to goodness though, it's just the only way to do it, because when you're me and, I've been in and out of bands and doing the music thing for a long time, and it's just one of those things where, like, if you want any exposure at all, like, you either have to completely and totally give up everything in life and just hit the road and, talk to so-and-so and hope that so-and-so knows so-and-so. And, you just have to. You have to go out there and just put yourself out there. If you're somebody like me who's like, man, I'm married, I've got a couple kids, like I still like to play shows and I still like to put out music, then you just have to do everything you can, and the internet's just kind of that way. So anyway, this is just a long
Yeah.
roundabout way of me saying that Cody and I had no prior meetings up to this point, and I was just like, he likes stuff that I like. Hello, new friend, come look at my stuff, So, and like I said,
And
it's one of those things where it sounds like, a lot of people are just like, I know people hate that, like, people add people on Facebook all the time, like, be my friend, be my friend, be my friend, and they're like, well, I
yeah.
don't know you. But like I said, it's just the only way to actually get to know people is just go like, hey, look, shiny object, like I like stuff you like come look at this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've actually met a couple decent, artists and bands that way, just randomly, going out there and doing the networking thing and adding me randomly, and it's just so weird because I had a band from, oh man, L.A. I want to say, add me, and they were just making a small stop in my hometown of Sioux City, and they were just going to make a small stop and head on their way. But part of that, they were like, well, we got to get people to come to our show, so who lives in Sioux City and who likes this type of music we play. And they basically did the exact same thing. They were like, okay, this guy, so whatever. I actually got to hang out with them at the show and everything, and that was, I mean, it's awesome to see artists and stuff doing stuff like that, because then it just kind of brings more of a human factor to it, instead of seeing somebody like a Kanye West or somebody who doesn't really interact with their fans on a human basis. So I mean, it's really nice to have that camaraderie with the people that are going to listen to your music and stuff.
Well, that's just it. A big part of it is like, it's not an accident when, like, let's just say, so my new, we'll talk about this later, but so I have a new EP coming out next month. I'm gonna obviously jump on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, and push it because, the most records you're ever gonna, honestly, well, and I'm not doing a big pre-sale because it's an EP, so you can't really pre-sale that on like iTunes will only let you pre-sale if it has to have at least like 12 songs or 10 songs. And with what I do, and again, we'll get into this later, like I don't like to release full albums. Like I always put out EPs because with a particular genre that I do, it does get old. Like for me,
Mm-hmm.
I can't listen to very many. There are nerdcore albums that I love, but I can't listen to them all the way through because you can only
Mm-hmm.
listen to so much of that before you're like, okay, I need to move on to something else. It's
Yeah,
like,
and variety's a good thing to have.
oh, totally. And like I love Weird Al, but there are very few Weird Al albums where I can make it through the whole doggone thing because after a while, goofy stuff does get old. It just does. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, again, like it's not going to be any, like I said, for the next couple of weeks, there will be Facebook ads out there very specifically for specific places and specific people because again, like there's just no other way to do it. Like unless I get, in a van and travel around the United States for the next 300 days, like there's no way that any of these people are going to know who I am or what I do. So there's just no other way to get around it. And social media is great for that. But again, you do get people that are like, and I'm holding up air quotes, that are purists who are just like, they're the kind of people that you meet and you're like, well, I used to love Radiohead, but, back when they played my, uncle's basement, but now they're sellouts. But it's like, no, it's just like, no, man, like we just have to do it. I'm not Britney Spears. That's a horrible example, but I'm not Lady Gaga. Like I can't, I can't draw 40,000 people. Like if I ever have 40,000 fans for my entire career, I'm stoked. So it's just like, for people like me who prefer to do it, like, anybody, and we can really get into this. I'm kind of jumping everywhere, but like, you know what? Well, let me put it this way. I've had sit downs with Island Records and RCA Records and tons of indie labels. And honestly, like I prefer this type of thing. Like, I like being indie, not because I think it's trendy or because I'm like, I'm better than the system. It's just, in my position, if you have 1,000 fans who really love what you do, you can sustain a career off of that. Like, you don't need 1 million fans. Like, you just need those 1,000 people that love what you do, that, post on your Facebook and your Twitter and, follow you and buy your albums and all that stuff. So, it's a really cool thing. But anyway, I'm bouncing everywhere, man. This is your show. Let's let you lead the way.
No, no, perfect. I mean, this is why I had you on here. Just, get to know you, hear what you have to say, because that's basically what this show is about, is just letting it all out, basically. So, but music is obviously a big thing in, society and just people's lives in general. So, basically, what got you into music in the first place, and why'd you choose to go the route of nerdcore?
Well, for me, so we won't touch on it too much, but I kind of grew up in like a weird home. I was raised by a single mother, and to kind of, I mean, honestly, to kind of deal with just the stresses of just the day to day, like, I just really got into music, and it started out really weird. So for me, and this is going to show that I'm a little older than most, because I'm actually in my 30s. Like, I remember the BMG Music Club. If anybody out there remembers that, it's where you could get 12 CDs for a penny, or like 10 CDs for 10 cents or whatever. And then what would happen is, yes, you would get 12 CDs for a penny, but then you had to pay the shipping and handling, which was higher than most shipping and handling. And then part of the other deal that was in the fine print that you didn't notice was, yes, you get 12 CDs for a penny, but then you have to buy 4 CDs at regular price. And their regular price is more like $26 a piece instead of like $9 or $10. So what I would do when I was younger is, of course, first of all, I was way too young to be ordering these anyway, is I would just be like, nope, I don't exist. And it's not like they could take back their CDs, and so you'd kind of buck the system, and you still would get your 12 CDs for a penny. But I do not recommend this, children. I mean, it doesn't exist anymore. That's dishonest. No good.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know that much about music. Like, I knew that, like, when I was really young, my parents were still together. My dad liked the Beatles and like Van Halen and the Who, and just, I mean, very, very broad spectrum of stuff. My mom was more kind of like a Patsy Cline, Van Morrison, John Prine, like kind of like old country, and like just kind of, that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of different musical styles going on in my house. Well, for me, I just kind of wanted to experience all of it, and I always had more of a pop element to myself. So like when I was younger, I got into, and this is where people might go, whew, I don't want to listen to this anymore. Like, I got really into like Boys to Men and like almost like boy groups before. I mean, way before like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, stuff like that. Like when like these guys could actually sing, and not that the other guys can't too, but it became less about like just awesome harmonies and just, girl, I love you, girl, that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
But then I also loved stuff like I loved punk rock, so I would like listen to the Ramones and the Clash and.
There you go.
Yeah. So I mean, like, so I had a really broad. So I mean, I liked it all. Like, I liked some country. Like, I really liked '90s country, but I also liked pop music. Like, one of my all-time favorite, which nobody would ever know from listening to my stuff. I love Huey Lewis and the News. Love Huey Lewis and the News, just because to me, they're the perfect example of the working class band. And then. Another example would be like a band like the Counting Crows. Like, if you look at the Counting Crows, they're not rock stars. They're not. They're just a bunch of, like, if you see them live, they're just a bunch of dudes. Like, nobody's wearing show clothes, in air quotes here. They're not wearing cool clothes or even trying at all, because they're just musicians. They're just guys that love music.
Yeah.
So I kind of liked everything. Like I said, I would, if I was making a mixtape, I would have like electronica, I would have again like hardcore punk rock, I would have hardcore music, I would have metal. I liked it all, and I would just kind of pull little bits and pieces of stuff that I loved. When I got old enough, I started playing the drums, and I was like, man, the drums are
Oh.
awesome. And so I started getting into
Yeah,
like,
as a fellow drummer, I know what it's like.
yeah, I
Playing
mean,
the
it's
drums
just,
is awesome.
well, it's just one of those things where like, I mean, it's awesome. The drums are great because, I mean, when I was younger, it was just like, I just love hitting stuff. I just want to bang on stuff.
Yeah,
And
and it's a good stress reliever too. Getting out, just letting that aggression out. That way, you don't have to, go to school the next day, bash a freshman's face in or
see,
something.
there you go. So it's like, so for me, in the very first band I was in, and this is hysterical, the first band I was ever in was a death metal band with my cousins. And it was literally, I mean, we were literally like three 15-year-old kids. And my cousin Ryan could literally like do the rah, 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 like just that, And so we're
The
playing like
good
this.
guttural growls and stuff.
Yeah, so like we're literally playing like speed death metal, and it's so weird to see like three. I mean, it's not as weird now, but it was weird then to see like three 15-year-old kids just like playing death metal. And it's funny because none of us were. I mean, I was not a big fan of death metal at all, but it was just the only band I could get myself into. And then slowly went from that, and I played in like a gutter punk kind of like a pop punk band, but more like guttural. Like I'm trying to think of a really really good example. I mean, for anybody out there who knows who Operation Ivy is, that's kind of, it was more like that kind of like gutter. It was, which Operation Ivy was the band that Tim Armstrong and, or not Tim Armstrong, Lars Fredriksson from Rancid was in before he was in Rancid. So that kind of like gutter and kind of Rancid-esque without as much of the ska influence. But I was in that kind of band called Broken. And then I kind of fell off the wagon for a while of playing music because there just wasn't anybody. Like I wanted to play, I mean, honestly, I wanted to play like pop punk. I loved punk, but I wanted it to be more, it didn't even have to be like really pop, pop punk like Newfound Glory or anything like that. I just wanted it to be
Yeah.
with a little bit more melody. And so I just kind of, I still played, but I just kind of stopped playing in bands for a while. And I'm trying to, the story I could tell would literally take 17 hours. So I'm just going to kind of fast forward and say that I joined, we'll just say I joined another band years later, a hard rock band called Noise Union. And we played together for a while, and I really loved that. The guys were great. But fast forwarding again, after the band was done, I found myself married, and I had a kid, and now I have two kids. But I literally live out in the middle of nowhere. Like my wife and I, we moved from Fargo, North Dakota. And just a little bit of background on that. If you've seen the movie Fargo, has nothing to do with Fargo, North Dakota. And in fact, it was actually filmed in Minnesota. So there you go. But so my wife and I moved out in the middle of nowhere. We moved back to her hometown, and I mean, I'm not kidding. When I say middle of nowhere, I don't mean like, oh my gosh, there's no Walmart. No. There's no anything. Like we live out in the middle of like we have to drive a half
No
an hour.
Walmart, no gas station.
Like we do have a gas station, but I mean, you have to drive a half an hour to find people. So,
Yeah.
so that being the case, being a musician, like I also, and then the other bands I played in, like I started playing bass. And so I have these basses, I have all this equipment, I have a drum set, I've all this stuff, and I have nobody to play with. So I'm trying to think to myself, I'm like, well, I live out in the middle of nowhere, and I can't find anybody to play with. So one day, I'm just kind of, I don't remember what, I was listening to something, and I must have been listening to it on iTunes, and like underneath it, like if you're ever listening to something, sometimes, iTunes or Amazon or whatever it is you're listening to, or whatever specific app or whatever, it'll say like, if you like this, you'll also like blank, 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 blank.
Yeah, and it just kind of says, hey, listen to this stuff too because it's similar to what you listen to.
Exactly. So whatever I was listening to, I saw the name MC Lars, and I just saw it was his album The Graduate, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just a, if I remember right, it's just like I think it's a red notebook with like his little cat person on the front or something like that. And I was like, oh, I should check this out. And because like one of the first things I noticed was the first song on the album is called "Download This Song," and it was featuring the singer from Bowling for Soup. And I was like, oh, okay, I kind of dig Bowling for Soup. Like I remember them. They had a couple hit songs on the radio. So I should check this out. And I start listening to it and I'm like, oh, this is hip hop. And then I'm like, oh wait, but it's not really hip hop. Like this guy doesn't sound at all like a rapper. I mean, he's rapping,
Yeah.
but he doesn't sound like a rapper. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool because like, I mean, a little bit of a sidebar. Like I love hip hop. I don't like. Well, okay. Let me preface this. I love the idea of hip hop. Like, I don't really care for. I don't really care for rap that much. Like, I mean, to me, there's a big difference between hip hop and rap. Um, which is really funny because like when people hear my stuff, they're like, "Oh, you must love so and so and so and so." I'm like, actually, I can't stand most rap. And
Yeah.
for me, like I love storytelling. Like I love listening to somebody talk about like an experience in their life or just it doesn't have to be real. Like if you're just telling a
Hmm.
story through the words in your song, like that interests me. But like I don't give a
Yeah.
crap about drinking or girls or I mean I love
Yeah.
I love my girl, but like I don't that stuff just doesn't like I don't care about you
Yeah.
going to the club or whatever and that stuff doesn't interest me. But
Yeah, a
what
lot of mainstream like pop and hip hop and rap nowadays they're not even talking about, as you would say, like the story of some like putting emotion into it. It just like even with the mumble rap nowadays, it just not it doesn't even seem like none of that stuff takes talent. But I guess if you're selling records, like keep doing what you're doing.
and dude,
But yeah, it's,
don't even get me started on mumble rap. I just oh so bad. But
it's so annoying.
what I thought was cool about MC Lars is that like again, like he doesn't sound like a rapper, but this dude sounds intelligent. Like he's like when he's rapping, he's talking about stuff that I like, but he's also talking about stuff that I have no clue. Like I'm having to like look up some of the stuff he's talking about because he's literally talking about these literary references. Like he's got a song called "Flow Like Poe," and it's all about Edgar Allan Poe. But it's all stuff that he's learned by literally having to read Edgar Allan Poe. And the only way you're going to get some of these references is you've had to have read Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
So and again like some of his stuff and the song download this song, he's literally talking about basically the record industry having to go like, look, okay, people aren't buying CDs anymore, like you need to adjust, like don't worry, like we need to find a way to still get these artists paid who are trying, they're spending money recording these songs, and that you got services like back in the day Napster and Kazaa, where you could just get all this music for free. So it's like, how do we figure out a happy medium? Like clearly people aren't going to buy, whole CDs anymore. They're not even going to buy the physical
Hmm.
product. They don't want it. They're going to nitpick or they're going to cherry pick. Like I love these 4 songs. I don't need all 10 of them. Like these are the 4 I like.
Yeah.
I'm just going to download these. But anyway, I really liked what he was doing. Like he wasn't doing just, he wasn't doing just straight trap beats and just putting words over it. And so I started really getting into it, and then I found that there was other people. There was, Samus, Megaran, MC Chris, MC Front a lot, a lot of MCs, and
Yeah.
like, and all these guys kind of had a different. Like nobody sounded the same. Like there's
Hmm.
so many rappers out there where I can be like, okay, well, I mean, unless you're somebody like Ja Rule or like where you've got like a very specific voice or like DMX, like these
Yeah.
guys that have like some
Well,
very
like MC Chris.
yeah, MC Crit, like, and here's what I'll say, like, he'll probably never hear this, but like, he's a little too parental advisory for me.
Yeah.
And for anybody listening, like if you don't know, and this might be where people shut it off, like I am a Christian. I don't like okay, just to throw this out there real quick, like you've got rappers like Lecrae who are like, don't call me a Christian rapper, and that's fine, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
What I do, and even on my new, all of my songs and even my new EP, there is not one mention of Jesus or God on any of my stuff. Now that has nothing to do with like I'm not personally trying to not put it in there. But what I'm doing is satire. Like I'm making fun of things. I'm making light of things, and I don't.
And you can't really put your faith into Jesus Christ as
some people
satire song.
And some people can, and I won't mention names, but there are a few nerdcore Christian artists out there, and they can do it, and it's fine for them. Like that's just fine and dandy. Like I personally can't do it. Like I don't like to do that. To me, it makes my faith disingenuous. Like it makes it now again, this is not me saying that these people are doing it as well. It's just my personal thought on the matter. So for me, also like honestly, I want people to get to know me. So like if I write a silly song and Christians like it and non-Christians like it, great. That means they like the music. Like I'm just making music. That's great.
Yeah.
But if I'm out there and I'm talking about my faith and I meet people at a show or just meet people, just like, oh, hey, how's it going? Like, I bought your album. Like, I've never met you. How's it going? And there's an opportunity. If there's an opportunity for me to share my faith without being pushy, I'm happy to do it. Like, I'm always happy to talk about God. That's great.
Exactly.
But I don't want to, to me, my music is more, it's the vessel. So like we're gonna talk like so if I get off a stage like you and I are gonna like we'll use you an example like so you and I like I get off the stage, if you liked what I did you're gonna come up and talk to me, great. Well, we're gonna have a dialogue. Now you might say something like, wow man, you didn't like this is a secular club, you didn't cuss, like what's your deal? And I'll be like, oh man, I'm just not really, I don't really cuss or anything. Like, I'm like, I'm a Christian, but I'm not like, I'm not going to push that on you, dude, unless you want to talk about it. It's just a nice way to kind of segue into, because again, I just, I'm not a Christian entertainer, and I'm not going to say that I'm not a Christian artist. Like, I do refer to myself as a Christian nerdcore artist, but what that means, it doesn't mean like, there's no such thing as Christian music. You can be a Christian playing music. Like the music has no, like there is no, music's just music. And, whatever genre it is, it's just music. So I just happen to be a guy who is a Christian who writes music. But I'm still a Christian. So I am a Christian artist. Like there's no way, you have to say, if you're a Christian, then yes, you are a Christian artist. Yes, you are a Christian rapper. But your music doesn't have to be Christian. But anyway, that's, whatever.
Yeah. Well, As a Christian, do you find it like harder, or do you think like it's harder to kind of get out there and network and broadcast your music versus people who are mainly secular writers and stuff like that?
For the people who get it, no. So like a perfect example. So my last album was called Lyrical Masterpieces, which of course is a tongue-in-cheek. Like, I did get a lot of grief from some people who were just like, dude, there's nothing masterpiece about your music. I'm like, okay, then clearly you don't get what I'm talking. Like, I'm not trying to be serious. Like, I don't think anything that I write is a masterpiece. Like, it's a joke. Like, I do consider myself somewhat of a wordsmith. Like, I think I'm really, I'm walking a fine line here. I do think that I'm a pretty good lyric writer as far as, the stuff I write about, some of it's ridiculous. So being able to write a song that is lyrically somewhat interesting and fits, like when you're trying to, when you're dealing with a central theme and you're trying to come up with, obviously rhythms and, things that rhyme, like a lot of thought does, like, I don't just sit down and go, I want to write a song about shoes. Okay, shoes are great. I can't be late. What's up with Wade? I'm not. I don't just sit down and just make up junk. Like I really do take time to think about, So like I have a song on my last, again, Lyrical Masterpieces, where I'm talking about, and I will circle back around to get to the point originally. So I have a song called My New DeLorean,
Oh yeah.
which has to do with literally like it's completely fictitious. So I talk about just one day I'm walking around and I see a DeLorean and I decide to buy it. And then references I make as I'm going throughout my day are from Back to the Future. But there are certain places where I'm literally taking things out of Back to the Future, but I'm not, but I'm twisting them just enough to where you might have to think about it for a second to get, because it might just be like, oh, he's just saying 4 or 5 words. I'm like, no, actually,
Yeah.
it took me 5 days to deal with those 6 words to figure out how exactly I wanted to place them to reference the movie, but also put it into context of the entire song, but also throw just a tiny twist where you go like, oh, I wonder if he's talking about this. And actually, I wasn't. I was talking about something else. So it's like one of those things where, I mean, I imagine 75 to 80% of people will listen to that and never, ever, ever hear any of that stuff. But for me,
Mm.
I do it for that extra 20, 25% who actually will dive in and go, "Oh, I bet he's talking about this."
Mm.
So that is really important to me. But going back to the original thing, I have a song on that album called "To Boldly Go to a Galaxy Far, Far Away," which is
And I would have to say that's probably my favorite song. It's just the melody and everything within that song. It's just like it's to for me, my personal opinion, it's just such a beautiful song all around.
I appreciate that, sir. No, I mean it's a lot of people's favorites for a few different reasons. Um, so I do most of the time. I actually stopped doing features because, or I stopped having features on my stuff because it's just a lot of hassle. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I mean, for me personally, like I do go through a lot of trouble to make sure that my vocals sound good. They're mixed well. They're, I mean, everything is a lot of care goes into my vocals.
Yeah. So
And
do you make all your own tracks and edit everything yourself?
so here's what I do because I'm not a studio genius. I'm just not like, and I don't have the kind of time that I wish I did to sit down and
Mm-hmm.
like really dive into Pro Tools and different things. Um, I work with a couple of different songwriters where I go, okay, well, this is what I'm thinking. You know, I've got this melody in my head. Um, this is what I'm kind of going for. And then a couple of people that I trust kind of help me build these songs. And then as we go, okay, I don't like that. No, that's not what I was thinking. Let's try this. Let's kind of, so as far as like, I'm probably like the second or third producer, but it kind of starts with me. So like the idea itself starts with me. And then
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of people that like I said that I trust musically to go, okay, well let's build on this. Let's try this. And that's kind of how the track comes together. Um, and then as far as like the actual lyric writing and things like that's all me, except for when I have a feature. So like a prime example would be on "To Boldly Go to a Galaxy Far, Far Away," which has the artist Megaran on it. So he, like, I could have written his verse, but I said, "Oh, hold on one second, man. I'm gonna grab a little swig of water here for everybody."
That's right.
Mm. So,
I've been
um,
drinking chocolate milk this whole time.
see, there you go. So Megaran, like, he did reach. I said, man, I really like you on this song. I think your voice would fit. And he's like, well, what do you want me to sing, or what do you want me to rap? And I'm like, well, I said honestly, man, like I could write your verse. I don't want to. Like I want whatever. I mean, for everybody who hasn't heard that song, it's kind of a Star Wars versus Star Trek song. It's that cliche's been going on for a very long time. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny, I did take a little bit of crap from some people that are just like, this song's stupid because you're being like way too literal and like there really isn't. Star Wars people
Oh
don't
gosh.
really hate Star Trek fans and meh, meh, meh. And I'm like, dude, that's not the point. Like, honestly, like there is an underlying, like, yes, this is a silly song, but like the underlying tone is like, look, we all need to stop fighting. Like, there's no
Yeah.
like you can like what you like, I can like what I like. Bill down the street, Susie over there, like we can all like what we like. We don't need to fight. Like, I'm so sick
Mm-hmm.
of trolls on the internet who are just like, this sucks because man, man, man. Like, I'm tired of
Yeah, just pulling stuff out of their ass, trying to figure out what they're trying to, trying to make a point that's pointless, basically.
Well, I mean, it's like, dude, I love the movie Casablanca. I love the movie um, Gone with the Wind. But guess what? I
Hmm.
also love Dude, Where's My Car? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
to me,
yeah,
like, why does there have to be a comparison of all that stuff? Like, yes, of course, Dude, Where's My Car is a stupid movie. It's supposed to be. That's
yeah.
what makes it so great. Or like a movie like Idiocracy, like the beauty of Idiocracy, it's a stupid movie that is actually unbelievably intelligent because you have to get
Uh-huh.
around that. Like you have to actually look at it and go, oh, they're making fun of who we are right now because if we keep going the way we're going, this is what's going to happen. So
Hmm.
it's just like, I can't stand that stuff. But but anyway, to get back to the original point, we're going off a little bit of a tangent. So um so Mega Ran, I had him write his verse, and so I mean, as far as lyrics go, most of the time it's all me. I write all my own stuff. Musically, I do kind of come up with the idea. Like I don't just get on the internet and go, I like that beat and download it. No, absolutely not. I want the songs to be written. Um,
Hmm.
and then as far as like post production goes, um, I used to have my friend JD do it, um, and he's really awesome. I actually played with him in the band Noise Union. He was our singer, but like as far as hip hop or the kind of stuff goes, it just wasn't quite his forte. He actually did my first record, and I actually just by chance, kind of the same way we met, I happened to meet this guy named Quentin Koblenz. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And he kind of does the same thing. Well, he doesn't do the same thing I do. He does kind of way more contemporary Christian, not contemporary Christian music, but kind of more CH like really Christian hip hop kind of stuff, but without.
Yeah.
But he kind of does more singing. Um, but I really liked what he was doing. Like I liked where he was going with just the way he was mixing his vocals and the specific things he was doing. And I was like, wow, this dude has like he gets it. Like he has a pop sensibility ear. Like he knows like if I add this at the end of my phrase or if I tweak this just a little bit like there are things that they're like ear candy. You hear it and you go, oh, that's cool. Like you may
Hmm.
like you might be listening to the song and you're like, this really isn't for me. But then like it's like something pops up and you're like, oh, I like that. Like I wasn't digging this song, but that right there just made me love this song.
Hmm.
So I really liked what he was doing, and so I reached out to him. I said, man, like I'm kind of looking for somebody to help me out with this. Like I know what I hear and I know what I want, but I can't. I just don't have the skills. And I mean, he went to college for this, and like I'm just like, man, I don't. I just don't have the talent to make this sound the way yours sounds. And and we started working together, and I think the stuff's just getting better and better. He did my last EP, and then he did this one too that's getting ready to come out. And I just love what he's doing. And again, like we stay in constant contact. So whenever you see one of my albums, like I do always put myself down as producer and different because like I do like my hand is in every single bit of my music. Like it's not like if you look at the back of like Christina Aguilera's album, you can see that there's like 27 songwriters and like
Yeah.
because and again like I don't do some of the heavy lifting all the time, but as far as like like again lyrical content, all me, vocals most of the time all me unless I have somebody feature for me. Um, so like it all starts with me, and then as we're writing each song, as we're kind of going through the process, like I'm always in it. Like I'm always adding my 2 cents and always like let's change this, let's flip this. Um, a good example is I did a song called "Never Ending in Neverland," and the the beginning was so boring, like so boring. And years ago, I went down to Texas to record an album with a Grammy Award winner, which was fun. It was great. And one of the things he taught me right off the bat, or taught the whole band, was nobody likes a long intro. Nobody. Like, you got to get into the doggone song. Like, don't, because at the time, like, I think every one of our intros was like 25, 30 seconds and just took forever to get into the verse. So I'm like, okay, well, we're getting pretty long with this one. I think it was like, yeah, I'm guesstimating, but it was probably like 22 seconds, 20 seconds. And I'm like, this is so boring. There's nothing going on. So I asked Quentin, I said, dude, I don't know what to do with this, but like, we need something. Like, this sucks. I'm like, I'll just be honest, like, this song that I wrote that I'm having you help me produce, this song sucks. And because I need to get to the verse. And I don't want to chop out the beginning because I think it's fun. Because that song is a little more old school, like 90s rap. And I'm like, I need something to put here. And he's like, well, we can take your chorus vocal and like chop it up and really mess with it and just make it more of like a weird, like up and down, just kind of, that's a bad example, but like just make it sound interesting. So if you listen to the beginning of that song, that's exactly what it is. And he did a fantastic, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, that's fun. Okay, cool. Now the song doesn't suck anymore, So, I mean, this has all been a very convoluted way of saying, yes, I do write my own songs, but I do have some help because for me, I love, and for good reason, like, I love collaboration. Because like, I can write a song and I might think this is the greatest song. Like, I'm like, oh, this is Stairway to Heaven. I just wrote it. This is amazing. This is like the third greatest song ever written. And then I can let somebody else listen to it and they're like, wow, that's quite a turd you got there. And I'm like, okay, don't sugarcoat it. And then I'll talk to some other people and it's like, well, like, it's an okay song. If you were to change this, get rid of this, don't do that, and then add this could be a pretty cool song. And so to me, I've never been one of those people to go like, this song is amazing. Because the second you do that and somebody listens to it, they're going to tell you just how awesome it isn't. And, and you and I can listen to the same song 10 times. And I bet if we wrote down the 10 things that we liked every time we listen to that song, ours are probably, at least half of them are going to be different.
Yeah.
So, you're going to hear something that I'm not. I mean, that's just the way we are. I mean, it's just the way we react to music. Like, there's certain things that you love and certain things that you hate and whatever. So again, just a very convoluted way of saying, yes, I do, for the most part, write my own music.
Awesome. Oh crap, I completely lost where I was. Yeah, so talking about like writing your own music and everything, what's like your biggest influences? Obviously in nerdcore, it's the nerd culture and stuff you're into and stuff you like, but do you draw stuff from like emotional attachment? Say like, spoilers real quick, have you heard it, or have you seen the new Last Jedi?
Okay. I'm gonna answer all the things that you asked in order here. Here's what's funny. So let's start out with this. You didn't necessarily ask this, but I'll just mention this again. 99.9% of all rap and hip hop I cannot stand. Don't like it. Have no interest in it. I just happen to be a guy that likes doing it. As far as like nerdy stuff goes, like what's funny about that is I'm not really a nerd. Like I no longer read comic books. I no longer I don't really watch sci-fi that much. Like, there's certain things I just absolutely love. I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Like, I'm really not. Like, I know, right? So, like, I know this people are gonna listen to this, be like,
it's
oh,
almost
this dude,
blasphemy on this podcast.
I know people are gonna be like, this guy sucks. No, well, here's the thing. Like, there are things about Star Wars that I do love and I do enjoy, and the trilogy, like the original, or 4, 5, and 6, will always hold a place in my heart because, like, when I was a kid, like, now obviously I was way too young to have seen them in theaters. Like, it was many, 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 many years later until I saw them. But but when I was a kid, those movies made an impact on me because it was like I'd never seen anything like that before.
Uh-huh.
But I don't have the passion. Like this is kind of what because what the music that I do is actually labeled nerdcore. I just kind of follow that. I just follow that moniker. But like again, like there are other nerdcore artists, and I'm holding air quotes here. There are other nerdcore artists that aren't really nerds either. Like I'm a dork, and
Hmm.
people. And what's funny is I say that, and people will be like, "Oh, you're not a blah blah blah," because they look it up in Webster's dictionary. It's like, okay, we're not using the literal word here, people. So dork to me, like there are dirks. There are dorks, nerds, and um, shoot, I'm having a brain fart. Okay, there's dorks, there's nerds, and there are geeks. So
Geeks.
so geeks are super into tech. They're super
Hmm.
into like that, that more to me for the most what I have observed in geek culture, like they're more like techie, they're more like like this is how this works and this is with nerds it's literally about nerd culture. Like it's Star Wars, it's Star Trek, it's comic books, it's video games. Like that's that is a nerd. A nerd is more passionate than a geek. A nerd is like somebody who is like not only do they watch Star Wars, they can tell you every single character, they can tell you all the side characters, they can tell you everybody who's in they could have told you who shot first, Han or Greedo. They could have told you, every single, the singer in the Cantina band is Cy Snoodles, or whatever. They can tell you
Hmm.
every single thing about Star Wars because they nerd out it. Like they're just like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. A dork, in my opinion, by what I've observed, is somebody who loves tech, who loves nerd culture, who loves everything else, but doesn't have like the passion for any of the stuff that geeks or nerds do. They don't have the passion. So like
Hmm.
I really like Star Wars. I don't love Star Wars. I like it. Like if you were to give me a choice between we'll use A New Hope as an example. So if you said, "Hey, do you want to watch A New Hope? Do you want to watch the movie Tombstone, or do you want to watch just throw out a movie real quick?"
Um, Indiana Jones.
Okay, so Indiana Jones, Star Wars, or Tombstone. Chances are I'm going to say Tombstone. I love the movie Tombstone. Now, that doesn't mean that it's
Hmm.
a better movie than Star Wars or Indiana Jones. I love all three, but I don't have the passion for Star Wars that I necessarily might for Tombstone. So,
Yeah.
to me a dork is somebody that kind of like engages and takes in all of the culture, loves it all, but doesn't have the
Hmm.
passion necessarily toward the geek culture or the nerd culture that both of those sides do. So that's kind of where I sit
Hmm.
is like if you listen to some of my stuff like I love Batman, but like I don't love Batman enough to like collect all the Batman comics or to collect
Hmm.
like the collectibles or the and I say this as somebody like first of all like one of my all-time favorite one of my all-time favorite movies is Back to the Future. I love Back to the Future. Like that's
Hmm.
probably more than likely my favorite movie and probably my favorite set of movies. Um, and right now I'm looking at one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine uh, uh, pop figures and or vinyl idols in my studio, and they're all well. Okay, sorry, one of them is not Back to the Future. I've got one, two, three, four, five Marty McFlys and one, two, three, four Doc Browns, and then I happen to have a Lloyd Dobler from Say Anything vinyl idols sitting there. So like,
Nice.
so see, I do have there are certain there's certain parts of nerd culture that I do love, but again, like I'm the guy that's kind of in the middle. So like that's kind of a heartbreaking thing when I start talking to people who are like hardcore nerds and they're like, "So like do you really 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 love like this?" And I'm like, "I really really don't. I'm sorry." Like I wrote a song about it. Like a perfect example. So like I wrote this song called this is where I look really bad because I can't even remember the name of my own song. Um, it's for anybody that's not listening, like it's a quarter to midnight where I live, and I'm super tired because my wife and I just
No.
drove hours and hours and hours because my son had had a wrestling tournament. He's 7, and it was great. But now Dad is super tired.
Yeah.
No, it's called Warren Worthington is No Angel. That's what it's called. Now Dad remembered. And basically, for anybody who doesn't know, Warren Worthington is the literal name of Angel from X-Men. And I was kind of asked to do this X-Men project, and it never really. I still don't know if it even got off the ground. Because like they kind of everybody threw out their characters, and like of course like I came onto this thing late, so like I couldn't be Wolverine or Cyclops or Jean Grey, whatever. And I was like, you know what, man, I'll be Angel. Like Angel was one of the original X-Men. That's cool, whatever. I know nothing about Angel. I know what everyone like. I know what everybody else knows from like. I mean, I know he's an original X-Men. I know that he was in the third X-Men movie that a lot of people poo-poo, but I don't mind. Like it's not. I mean, it's not great, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I know nothing about Angel, so I literally had to like look Angel up and go, okay, what's the story of Angel? And it's to me, it's just as interesting, if not more interesting, than all the comic book characters. But going into the song, like again, I didn't know anything about Angel, so it's like to me, it's not like I'm not being, deceitful. Like I'm not like some people. I mean, again, some people take it really seriously, and they'll be like, "Well, how can you write a song about a comic book character and not care about comics?" Like, well, I don't know. How does everybody else write songs about other things that they don't care about? I don't.
Mm.
So, and again, it's not even that I don't care about it. I mean, I find it interesting enough to write a song about. Clearly.
Yeah.
But anyway, this X-Men thing didn't go together. And I was trying to like decide between. I had a song about Emma Watson, which I mean everybody should know who that is, but Emma Watson who played Hermione in Harry Potter.
Hermione. Yeah.
And I really liked the song, but I was just like, I just don't think it's. And one of these days I might release it, but it's just not. It's not that good. It's okay. It's like one of those songs where you're just like, it's okay. And I do have,
Yeah, well, I know you get some of those every once in a while because I'm a writer myself. I've got a novel, a self-help book, and everything like in the makings. But there's always going to be that one piece of artwork that you're going to do, or that line, that lyric that you're going to write down, and you're like, yeah, it sounded good at the time, but maybe not.
Well, and that's kind of how like, and I think on every one of my albums, there's always one song where I'm like, it's not great, but like it's just, but I want it on the like it's to me, and it's all subjective because like,
Yeah.
My favorite song might be my favorite song is somebody else's least favorite song. And that's how it works with everybody. Like my favorite movie might be somebody else's least favorite movie. Whatever. It's fine. Like it's all subjective. Like I don't care. Like I do not care. Like if you love something I love, great. If you hate something I love, that's great too. Like it doesn't matter. Like my affection for something doesn't like. I mean, I feel bad. Okay, if my affection for something bothers you, I'm sorry. Like, but there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
But someone's hatred for something that I love does not bother me. Like, I don't need to have a discussion with them about it and be like, no, you don't understand, man. Like, let me tell you why Dude Where's My Car is the greatest movie ever made. No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. Like, if you didn't like it and I do, that's fine. Yeah. That doesn't matter. But like, the irony is though that people that hate the thing that you like, they have to tell you why the thing that you like sucks. And it's just like, look, we don't have to have, like, it's the same reason.
You can't.
Well, I mean, like, it's the same. Sorry, I keep monopolizing the conversation.
Oh, no, you're fine.
But, like, so I'm gonna bring it back to my faith real quick if I can. So, like,
that's fine.
For me, like, I love talking to atheists, mostly because, like, and I'm not, and again,
I'm scared to talk to atheists because I know I'm not that wise. I can't
here's the thing that I'll say, right? Well, here's what I'll say why. Because I don't need to, first of all, I'm not super spiritual. I'm not super, in as much as, like, I can't just pop off, like, 50 Bible verses and tell you why this is like this and that is like this. I don't really dive really deep into theology and stuff like that. There are guys that love that stuff. I'm just not that guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not, to me, I'm just like, look, I believe there's a God. I believe he sent his son to die for me. I believe the Bible for what it is. Like, I don't need to like know
Get into the
why.
depths of
Yeah,
it.
I don't need
Yeah.
to know why. Like, he is the why. That's fine. I'm down.
Mm-hmm.
But like with
Mm-hmm.
an
Well,
atheist,
and that's what, sorry,
no,
but
no, no.
that's what like a lot of people, like a lot of the debate comes from. And um I was actually heading this way for a couple questions anyways, but like a lot of the debate comes around like because people try to open it up to more than what the surface says, because they try to dissect what the Bible says, and it doesn't matter what the, I mean, it matters what the Bible says, but that's the point, is what it says is what it says. So like in the New Testament, with Jesus coming to die for our sins and going onto the cross and doing what he did to help save us and protect us from, God's wrath, people would rather say, oh, God's wrath is still out there, so you got to fear it. But the way I see it is Jesus's last commandment was to, love each other. So a lot of people like to dissect it from that too, but he's just saying show compassion. You don't have to be out there and shoving your Bible down somebody's throat. Excuse me. And you don't have to be out there, standing on a street corner and being like, you're all sinners. Just show the love that Jesus Christ had showed for us. And we know what that love feels like, so share that love. Is basically, the whole debate just kind of collapses in on itself when it comes to that. So,
well,
but yeah,
and my thing with like, again, like, so like if I circle back to, so the reason like that I would like talking to an atheist person is like, I'm fine. Like if anybody who's listening to this and you're an atheist, like that's totally cool. Like man or woman, child, whatever. Like if you're an atheist, great. Okay, cool.
mm-hmm.
But here's what I'll say about some atheists is that they have to tell me, they need to make a point of telling me and citing examples and of exactly why I'm wrong and why I'm an idiot. And like what's funny is like I'm not going to do that to them. Like I don't like, you don't believe in a God? Cool. Nice to meet you. I'm Ben. Who are you? Like I don't care. Like we just moved on. Like you're an atheist? Okay. So we're not going to talk about Jesus. Cool. Sounds good. It doesn't matter. Like I'm not like, it is not my job to change someone's mind. It isn't. Nowhere, I've never read anywhere. Now it doesn't, now I'm assuming it does not say it. I've never read it in the Bible. It does not say thou shalt go out and change people's minds. No, it says, it says you need to talk, like, look, you need to introduce somebody to Jesus. Okay, well this person, like, you've let it be known you believe in Jesus. This person does not. Okay, cool. We're moving on to a different topic. Now, I'm not going to win that person over talking about God. It's not going to happen because that person does not believe in God. They don't care about my reasons of why I think he exists or whatever. So we need to move on to a new topic. All right, what are we going to talk about? Let's talk about music. Let's talk about art. Let's talk about movies. Let's talk about piñatas. I don't give a crap. Let's just talk about something else. Now,
something like you can get onto a common ground with and actually have a full conversation and open up a dialogue instead of a debate.
Exactly. There doesn't need to be the debate. Like for me, I don't want to have the debate. Like again, I already have the belief. I don't need someone else to believe what I believe for my beliefs to have any value or to have a validity. It doesn't matter. I have them. Like it doesn't matter if Bill down the street doesn't believe what I believe. That doesn't change who I am and what I believe. And that's fine if Bill thinks I'm an idiot. Like that's fine. It doesn't matter. Why should that affect me? But it irritates some atheists to no end, and they have to tell me exactly why I'm a moron. But the way I have flipped that conversation on its head is, again, I am called to preach the gospel. We all are if you've accepted Christ into your heart, and that's just what we do. And so, if you are somebody who doesn't believe, that's fine, man. Let's talk about something else. Like I'm not gonna like, and again, most of the time when if I'm playing a show or if I'm just talking with somebody, like I'm not going to just start talking about Jesus for no reason. Like to me, that's the equivalent of the, again, air quotes, Bible thumping. We don't need to do
Mm-hmm.
that. Like once you've told somebody that you're a Christian, you've laid it out there. Like you don't need to
Yep.
go any farther. Like if I mean if they want to ask you a question, and just leading a good life, just being a good person, just showing, for me, again, like if I've literally met atheists where they're like, I've gotten, I've been talking about God or whatever, and then they stop me and go, "You're an idiot," and I'm like, okay, my wife says that too. Why do you think I'm an idiot? And and they're like, well, because you believe in a God. And I'm like, okay, so clearly you don't. And they're like, nope. And I'll go, cool. Want to get some lunch? Because I'm really hungry. And they're like, huh? And I'm like, well, I don't want to talk about this because clearly you don't believe in God. I do. Let's move on. Do you want to go get some lunch? Like, we can go talk about whatever it is you
Yeah.
want to talk about other than this. And what's funny about that is by the end of our conversation, the dude still didn't believe in a God, but
Mm-hmm.
he believed in me as a person. He's like, "Oh, you're actually kind of a cool dude. Like, you're not like because again, there's a lot of weird. I mean, if you look at our church today, there's a lot of weird stuff, and there's a lot of just there's just some bad culture, man. And it's just like, it all started back when I was when I was a kid, and I was playing in the metal band. Like, I had a blue mohawk and a wallet chain, and I think at the time, at this specific time, I had like really long hair,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember going to this. There was a meet. I was playing this Christian festival, and there was like this church gathering of all the people who were going to be working at this church festival, just to kind of be like, okay, here's what's going on. Here are the bands. Like, this is kind of what we're doing. Blah 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 blah. And so the meeting's over. As I'm walking away, a lady hands me a piece of paper and she's just like, "Oh, we're so excited to have you be a part of this. This is fun." I'm like, 16 years old. I'm like, "Yeah, this is cool, man." And I get outside and I see it's a scripture and I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool." That lady like handed me it didn't have the scripture on there. It just had, James 4:2. I don't remember what it was. I'm sure there's some
Yeah. It's just
as I say this, there are people who will know this scripture. I'm brain farting it at the moment, but anyway, we leave, my bandmates and I go home and I look it up in my Bible, and it's a scripture about cutting your hair, and I'm like, or not having, not wearing, mixed clothing fabrics and cutting your hair, and I'm like,
yeah.
and if I wasn't the person that I was at the time, like that would have been heartbreaking to me because I thought this lady was
Mm-hmm.
being like, clearly I'm a part of, like, one of these churches that we just attended is a part of this Christian festival that's being put on. They asked us to play their festival. So clearly they want us to be a part of this thing. Now this woman literally went out of her way to be like, yeah, you're a part of this, but maybe you're not as Christian as you think. Whatever her thinking
Yeah.
was. But I mean, it really hurt me. Like, it sounds like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are going like, who gives a crap? But it's like, no, you need to understand, like, and I wasn't even that strong in my faith then, like, but it's just like this person cut me, like they hurt me, and it
Mm-hmm.
was a person that was a part of a faith that I believe in, that I trust in, and this person is telling me
Mm-hmm.
that I don't belong in what they believe, but we believe the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's killer. It hurts. It sucks. And so for me, it's just like, it doesn't, like, look, Christian, secular, blah 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 blah. Like, I don't like I've done podcasts in the past with other musicians and actresses and actors, and I've talked to quote unquote again, um, Christian actors who've been in Christian movies or whatever. And you start talking to them, and they're like, "You know what the worst thing is about the Christian music industry?" And I'm like, "Let me guess, that there is a Christian music industry." And they're like, "Yes." Like, because, and it's the same thing. I've heard horror stories from friends, who have been in the Christian music industry, signed to Christian labels, and you start hearing about all this stuff that, I mean, it's basically, I mean, if you break it all down, they're literally taking the name of Jesus and they're making money off of it. That's what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing. Like, bottom line, like, clear away all the smoke screen coffee house crap. That's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And now that might not be their intention, or it very well may be. I mean, 'cause again, like, you start talking to some of these people, and like, it's pretty black and white. But
Yeah.
it's just, I've never understood. I mean, this world needs something. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we're in some trouble right now. Like, look, love him or hate him, and again, I don't care about your opinion on that either. Like, however you feel about Donald Trump, fine, whatever, don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really care. Like, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I respect the man because he's our president.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, like, look, the grabbing stuff, the whatever, this, that, like, look, that's whatever. He's a human
Mm-hmm.
being, but as the president of the United States, I have to respect him because he is the
Yep.
president of the United States, regardless of how you feel
Mm-hmm.
about him. Like, it doesn't matter. Is he maybe a crappy version of a human being? Maybe. He's done a lot of
Yeah.
crap. It is what it
Yep.
is. But and I'm not trying to get political, but that's kind of how I look at everything. So, like, all the racial turmoil that's going on right now. Like there is not a race on this planet that I have a problem with. Even ones that are trying to kill me, way off, in the distance. Like,
Yeah.
like I have nothing against these people, nothing at all, like nothing at all. And I just, there's so many bad things going on that I just, again, like there's so many things we can be talking about. Like, we don't need to talk about why you don't believe in the God that I believe in. That was kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
That was a weird way to circle back around, but I felt like I was going down a rabbit hole, and I was like, I gotta steer this ship around, Captain. So,
Hey, it happens. Get lost in the weeds. That's what my buddy Marshall always says. But then again, he does do marijuana. Anyways, so I mean, yeah, I have to agree with damn near everything you just said because even Donald Trump, I don't have a personal view on him. I didn't vote for him. I don't like a lot of the things he says or whatever, but like you said, you got to respect him, which I do. He is our president of the United States, so we kind of have to give our trust to him right now and hope he leads us in the right direction. But and again, like not going down and having those debates and stuff because that's where or that's why our country's in the state it's in is because everybody wants to debate, nobody wants to have a discussion. And I just kind of feel like if people would open up a little bit more and listen instead of say, hey, you said this, but this is why you're wrong. And I think that's just stupid. How it, everybody's got an opinion, but everybody also thinks their opinion's better than somebody else's. And it just sucks that we're in this time where this is happening. But it's just something that's hard to even describe and talk about because it's everybody else's opinions. You don't really know how they're feeling or uh, what's going through their mind when they're saying or judging or doing the stuff that they're doing. So,
well, and
but
we
yeah, no, I have to agree with everything you had to say.
well, the thing is, like, we live in a time where everything is instant. Like, oatmeal is instant, coffee is instant, entertainment is instant. So, like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it used to be. I have a new song called "Weapons of Mass Distraction" that people will hear. A little bit of plug, April 20th, and it talks about that. I mean, it talks about again weapons of mass distraction. Like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Apple TV. Like, these are things that, like, when I was a kid, I so much looked forward to Charlie Brown Christmas. I'm like, and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty. And the thing is, it only came on TV once a year. So if you
Mm-hmm.
missed it, you were screwed. Like, there was no second bite at the apple. Like, if you didn't see it, and that was a big deal. Like, when I was in elementary school, like, you would talk with your friends. You're like, oh my gosh, man. Like, oh my gosh, Charlie Brown Christmas. Did you guys watch it? Oh, it's so good. Pigpen.
And then
Oh,
there
he's
was always that one person who was like, "Oh no, I
yeah,
missed it."
always, always. And you're like, dude, you need to leave. And because it's like,
Yeah.
it was a big deal. Now, my kids, like, I have a 2-year-old girl and I have a 7-year-old boy. They love the Peanuts movies. They can watch it every day, all day, anytime they want because we own it on Amazon Prime, and they can pull it right up. They don't need a disc. They can watch it on a cell phone. They can watch it on a computer. They can watch it at Grandpa and Grandma's house on a completely different TV. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
they can watch it anywhere, anytime. And so for me, I was like, this, and I wrote this song, and a lot of it's very silly. I mean, none of it's like, to me, I wrote a social commentary inside of a very goofy song,
Mm-hmm.
because I have the same problem. I have literally, like, when my wife and I moved to Fargo, North Dakota, I literally called in sick one day because I started watching this show called Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, which if anybody's out there seen it, it was written by Aaron Sorkin, who did The West Wing and many other amazing television projects and movies. And it stars Matthew Perry from Friends, who played Chandler, and I'm gonna brain fart his name. Oh gosh. Okay, well he played like the bad guy in Billy Madison. He was also Josh in The West Wing. Doggone it, I'm brain farting his name. But anyway, it's this amazing show, or at least most of it is an amazing show about a Saturday Night Live type program called Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's basically like Matthew Perry played this guy who a long time ago used to work for the show, but they fired him, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And it's them trying to get this. Anyway, I started watching it at like, I don't know, 4 in the afternoon or something. And I just got wrapped up in it. And I sat down and I
Mm-hmm.
watched every single episode. And then all of a sudden I turned off or I watched the last episode, shut it off, looked at the clock, and it was literally 6 in the morning. I had stayed up all night, watched the whole doggone thing, brain farted and went, I have to go to work. And I'm like, oh crap, there's no way. Like, I'm supposed to be in the shower right now. There is no way. And I
Yeah.
literally had to call in sick because I got addicted to this stupid show that I'd never seen, but I loved it. And I had to call in sick. Like, it literally, like, a television show took over my life. Like, it controlled
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how we all are, like, when it comes to any movie or like, I mean, we get like, there's appointment television now where like you have to get home at 8:30 because you have to see the new Big Bang Theory, or or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just using that as an example,
Yeah.
but like there are people that literally like, I used to be that way with The Walking Dead, but like I don't watch it on TV. I just buy this, whenever the season starts, I just buy it, and then as
Mm-hmm.
the episodes come. But and so like I always, every day, every single day, Monday, I had to watch The Walking Dead. I'm like, okay, it's on Amazon now. I can watch it. Sweet. Now, the new season, like, I just watched like 4 episodes in a row that were like months old, that I hadn't seen yet, because
Mm-hmm.
I had to make a decision and go, you know what? Like, this does not control me. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much good. I mean, dude, look at all the comic book movies and television shows, and look at all the
Yeah.
interesting content there is out there. There's no
Yeah.
way you can watch it all. It's not
Yeah,
possible.
exactly. And that's where I'm just recently getting into realizing that, because I was doing the uh CWDC TV shows, like Flash, Supergirl, Arrow, and all that. And it's just hard to keep up with that, maintain a family, keep a social life going, and
Dude, it's
you pile all that up, and then you can't, like, making you're trying to force that source of entertainment in your life when it's gonna be there for a while. You given Netflix and Amazon and stuff like that gives you the access to it, but you're not gonna be able to fit every single one of those into your life.
well, I mean,
There's just no way.
it's not digging a ditch. It's not like breaking rocks with other rocks. Like, it's not. But dude, it's hard. It is so
Yeah,
hard because like
exactly.
I mean, like, I like Flash, I like Arrow. I've never seen an episode of Supergirl. I started watching Jessica Jones, and I started watching Luke Cage. Like, I've seen a lot of these shows. I even made it through quite a few episodes of Iron Fist, which I don't know how I did that. That show is terrible. But like,
Yeah, dude, episode 1 to the end, it just
oh,
nothing made sense. And
so
even the Defenders was just like a runoff from Iron Fist, but go ahead.
but and then I even watched what was that terrible show? Not the Defender. Oh gosh, I can't. It was so bad I can't remember that. I only made it through like 2 episodes. It was horrific. But like, there's so much. Like, I used to love the show. Well, I still do, but like, there was a show called Justified. Love that show. But while that was on, there wasn't like a ton of stuff that like I really needed to watch. But that became
Yeah.
like, for my wife and I, we don't like a lot of the same stuff, and she really liked Justified. So that became one of those things where it didn't hurt my family in as much as like the kids were already in bed, and that became appointment time with my wife. That was kind of like date time. Like, okay, we're gonna watch an episode of Justified, before we go to sleep. But now, again, man, there's so much stuff. There's so much stuff, and this song kind of like addresses that in a very light way, very light. Like, not one time do I ever like point the finger at Netflix and go, "You're evil." It's just like, it's just, but it's like, man, like, we can't let this stuff control us. Like, literally, the chorus in the song is, "Turn off the TV and go to bed. I've got work in 3 hours. What's wrong with my head?" And there's more to it, but like, because it literally happened to me. Like this thing that, I mean, entertainment is just entertainment. Like, you shouldn't, if you feel an obligation, like, oh my gosh, like, I haven't seen the crossover between Supergirl, Arrow, and the Flash, like, I can't, dude, get over it. Like, fine.
Yeah.
Like, look, if you have time, great, go watch it. If you don't stress about it. Like, who cares if you can't go to the water cooler on Monday and talk about it with your coworkers? Who gives a crap?
Yeah, there's just so much more to worry about, and you're gonna stress over something that you missed.
I'm like, dude, you have 6 kids. Worry about feeding those mouths. Don't worry about the
Right?
crossover. It's just, so, I mean, I don't even know how we got on this tangent, but it's fun.
Yeah, I just I mean, it is where it is, but I do think we should start wrapping up. Actually, it's midnight already, so
Yeah, and we're approaching, like, we just went over the hour and 15-minute mark, so this is a long one right here.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to edit too, and I believe my Skype recorder stopped recording, so fun. But just a couple wrap up questions here. What does the future hold for you?
The immediate future is bed. And then sometime after that, again, my new album, I almost said Lyrical Masterpieces. It's called Mild Stallion, which is a play. If anybody who hasn't heard or hasn't seen if anybody hasn't seen the artwork, it's kind of it's me dressed as Keanu Reeves, like sitting on top of a microphone. It's supposed to be kind of a play on the cover of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Nice.
And so it's kind of like mild, like their band is called Wild Stallions, and me being not like the wildest dude ever, I was like, it's a play on words. I'm a mild stallion. And there actually is a song on the album called Mild Stallions, which is about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So if you love Bill and Ted, you will like that song, I hope. So that's coming out April 20th. Beyond that, I've been asked to join a couple of different tours. My old band is getting back together and recording our first album again. Noise Union, for anybody who cares. And I think we're going to play a couple of shows at the end of the year. Other than that, man, like I said, I've kind of reached a point where I really love doing this music. I really enjoy being a part of the community. I love all the people that follow me on Facebook and Twitter, which, if I can, do a shameless plug real quick.
No, go ahead. Plug all you want.
Anybody listening to this, like, I love being on social media. I love talking to people. Please, by all means, you can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/Ben Knight Hip Hop, BENKNIGHT Hip Hop. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram at Ben Knight Hip Hop. Again, like, if you follow me, like I talk a lot, like clearly as you're listening to this podcast. So I mean, by all means, jump on social media. I will talk to you because I don't know how to do anything else. Um, Again, yeah, the album comes out for 2018, which
Is
there was
I was
absolutely
gonna say, is
no.
there any
I've had
correlation
no,
there?
not at all. Like I have never. Let me just put this out to people. Never smoked pot in my life. I just
Oh, good for you, man.
it just happens to be it just happens to be a Friday. Like it was 411 was too early and 429 was too or 427 was too late. So or
420
or
was
430. See, I
perfect.
already said it wrong. Like four is not 411, 413. It was. I didn't want to put it out on Friday the 13th. Well, actually, I did it first, and it wasn't going to get done in time. And
Yeah.
I was like, all right, 420. I was like, I'll just let people make their own conclusions, I guess. Um, but I mean, other than all that stuff, man, like I'm just kind of taking it a day at a time. Like I said, I'm a musician, but I'm also a daddy. I'm also a husband. And unfortunately, I'm in the position in life where I don't make enough money to simply support my family with music. Unfortunate but true. Um, and actually, you know what? Let's segue from that. Let me. There's one thing I'm actually super kind of excited about. Anybody listening to this? So I kind of put this out on Facebook and Twitter. I think last night or the night before. Um, there is a production company, not near me, but near enough, who had heard my stuff, and they're like, dude, a lot of your songs, like, these would make great music videos. I'm like, I agree. What can I do for you? And they're like, oh, like, and they want to help me do a music video. And I'm familiar with their work. They do really, I mean, their music videos are great. They do really good work. So now the problem with them contacting me at this particular time is I just spent a lot of money on this new record. So I'm a little strapped. So what I want to
Mhm.
try to do, and I feel dirty even mentioning this, and I said the same thing when I put it on social media. I don't like asking for money. Like I don't like if I could give my music away for free, I totally would. But the only problem is like I have to
Mhm.
sell my music so I can pay for the product and hopefully make it, and that way I can do
Mhm.
another album, and then hopefully that album pays for itself too. So it's like it's
Yeah.
I'm not making. I think in all of my nerdcore music, I've made about 23 cents, as far as the music goes, because like it's hard. I mean, if I start looking at my Spotify plays and stuff, and like it takes a million plays on Spotify for me to make $100. So it's like,
Oh man.
yeah. So I mean, it's not a dream gig, people, at all. But I mean, to make a long story long, um, I think I'm gonna reach out to people in this. I really want to do this music video. Like I've never done a music video,
Mhm.
um, but I don't have the cash for it. I just don't. Like this is a bad time. Like again, I just finished the album. I have no money. But what I want to do is I don't think I'm gonna use Kickstarter per se, but I want to do a Kickstarter. Um,
Mhm.
and just reach out to people and go, look, I want to do this music video. It's gonna be fun. You know, it's gonna be really good. Like, can you help me out? And I'm not gonna.
Have you ever looked into like Patreon or something like that to help you get it? I mean, it's a monthly subscription base, but
Yeah,
you get to name your own price for
the
that.
the
But
the problem with the only problem with Patreon for me is like I can't. I'm not able to be consistent. Like, there's
yeah.
no way for me to be able to put out like MC Lars does it. Like he'll put out like a couple of songs a month for his Patreon people. I can't guarantee that. Like, I just don't know. Like I do tend to put out
Yeah.
content pretty quick. Like I've put out 3 EPs in the last not quite 2 years. So like I mean I've put out plenty of and a couple of singles. So, I mean I've put out quite a bit of content, but like not that kind of content. Like I don't. He does that full time. I don't have time to write all the time and put that stuff out. I think Patreon's great. I think it's a great idea. With this
Mhm.
particular thing, I just want to, and I do want to, and again, I do want it to be a reward based. Like, so I'm not just saying, hey, give me money. It's look, you donate $5, I'm gonna give you an exclusive sticker. Like you put in
Uh-huh.
$10, I'm gonna give you a digital download of an album and a sticker. You give me $20 or 25, whatever, I'm gonna give you a
Yeah.
T-shirt and the sticker and the CD and this and that. So like you're not just giving me money. You're literally like paying for merch, really, if you think about it. Like you're getting all this stuff, plus you're going to get this music video. So not only is
Hmm.
this music video going to come out, but you're also going to get stuff. And I'm not going to go crazy. Like, I mean, some people spend tens of thousands of dollars on their music video. That's not even going to be close. Like, it's going to be low. Like, I've talked to the guys, and it's going to be as bare bone. Like, we're going to make the best music video that we possibly can for the least amount of money, because they believe in what I'm
Hmm.
doing, I believe in what they're doing, and it's just one of those things where like sometimes you just got to scratch each other's backs and go, okay, well, I've got your back, you've got mine. Let's see what comes out of this.
Hmm.
Hopefully it's such a good video that they get more work, and hopefully it's such a good video that more people get exposed to my music. Like I don't care like I, I don't care about like I don't care about being big. I don't care about being signed to X record label and whatever. I've been through that stuff. It was great. I'm not interested anymore. Like it's not about that.
Hmm.
It's more about just getting my music out there and just having a conversation with people.
Yeah, and just kind of doing the thing you love to do, and not necessarily even making it a job. Just kind of, you know, loving the content and stuff that you put out. So, and I can relate on that. I was, like I said, I was in a band before. We never got big enough. I mean, we had one record company come in and look at us, but we ended up turning them down for some odd reason. But uh, it's really not about making the money anymore. Granted, it's not cheap to do this stuff. It's not a cheap hobby to have, but it's just all about having fun and starting that discussion with people. So
No, absolutely. And again, I know we need to get going here. And that's really honestly, people please check out my stuff. Like again, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. You can also get all my stuff on iTunes, Amazon, Bandcamp, Google Play, like Xbox, whatever. If you can get digital music there, my stuff is there. But again, like that's just it's a nice thing. Like, look, if you listen to my stuff and you like it, or you buy my stuff and you like it, that's fantastic. But like in a lot of ways, again, it's just the vessel. It's just the thing to get us talking. Like
mhm.
because I just want to talk to people. I just like with all the stuff going on, man. Like I just want to be a positive guy who just like you need prayer, cool, let me know. Like you're not a Christian, fine. What do you want to talk about? Comic books, cool. Like I'm not a big comic book person, but like, dude, I'm happy to talk about it. Let's do it. Or somebody's
Mhm.
like, I want to talk about, I'm just like looking around stuff in here. Like I want to talk about, music gear. Okay, cool. What do you want to talk about? Whatever. Like I just want to talk. I just want to bring some positivity to just the ever growing cesspool that is this world. And so again, the music is just a way to be able to do that. So again, hey man, that's how my new friend here and I started talking. Like that's just, that's how we do things.
Yeah. Start, just and it's about the common ground too. You got to go back to that because it. Yeah, I just lost my train of thought. Anyways, but yeah, you got to find something to bring people in and be interested in, and music is probably the best way to do that. And um, I I have your album, the lyrical masterpiece, and I had it on repeat for at least 2 weeks straight, just because it's just some good music on there, and not it's not gonna be for everybody. Not everybody's gonna like nerdcore or some of the stuff that's in there, but I encourage everybody to listen to it because it is really good music if you give it the shot. So I do have he Ben did send me a song that I'm gonna tack on the end here, so please stay tuned for that.
Yes.
And so
And if I can,
just
I'm gonna keep you on here until like 4 in the morning, dude. We're just gonna keep it going. If I can,
hey, that's good.
I just want to give a little bit of preface to this. So the song that I'm kind of releasing, not as a single, but just as a song for people to kind of hear on podcasts and radio stations before the album comes out, is called "The Lighter Side of the Dark Night." It's basically, I mean, in a nutshell, it's basically like everyone, like I've heard a lot of nerdcore people talk about Batman, and they talk about Christian Bale, they talk about Heath Ledger's the Joker, they talk about Batman, and they talk about like Batman's tough and rough, and he's whatever. And I thought, man, I really want to take this and spin it on its head. Like, what if Batman is actually like this really sensitive dude that we just didn't know? Like, he seems all hard and grizzled because like his parents were killed in front of him, and he's just like this, I'm gonna just bust a bunch of people's faces in while I wear this bat costume. But actually, the dude really, really loves needlepoint, or whatever. That's not a part of the song per se, but like, so again, the song is called "The Lighter Side of the Dark Night." So it's literally like how I think Batman actually might be, that we just don't see. And so, again, I think it's going to be like a lot of my stuff is. I think some people are going to go, "This is really funny. I enjoy this." And I think some people are like, "This is not the Dark Knight." And that's fine. Like, again, I'm just being goofy. Like, I don't really think, like, first of all, people, Batman is not real. Just so you know, Batman, not real.
A lot of people don't understand that all the time, but yeah.
Yeah, and and in all honesty, like, it did everything. Like, there are times when I really want to make fun of Batman. Like, you don't have no idea how much I wanted for like 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I wanted to be like, "Where's the trigger? Where is it?" Like, I wanted to do that, and I didn't. So again, but actually, for everybody listening, like, I'm going to be doing a lot of radio interviews and a lot of podcast interviews for the next couple of weeks. And my man here is the first person, like, I don't know if he'll be the first person to put it out. He's the first person to have heard this song of all of these interviews and radio stations. So he's breaking ground. That's what's up.
Yeah, I told you guys I'm special. Now you gotta listen to this. But no, for real, I do appreciate it. This is you're really the first person I've talked to since I started. What do I want to say? Rebranding myself. So, I mean, normally I would close out by giving my socials out, but like I said, I'm rebranding, so I'm in the midst of changing all my Twitter and Facebook. So, as of right now, you guys know where to find me. Thank you so much, Ben, for talking with me. And one more time, if you want to give out your social media, let people know where to find you.
Oh, totally, brother. Yeah, again, facebook.com/Ben Knight Hip Hop, KNIGHT, BENKNIGHT Hip Hop. Also on Instagram, Twitter, at Ben Knight Hip Hop. And I do run 2 different Facebooks. One of them, the one that Cody is currently on, will probably go away fairly soon. But it's, again, facebook.com/Ben Knight Raps. Because again, I've been running 2 Facebooks. One of them is at Ben Knight Hip Hop is actually, or not at, facebook.com/Ben Knight Hip Hop is actually my actual band Facebook. But again, I created more of a personal one at Ben Knight Raps, just to kind of. But the problem is I can only interact with 5,000 people, which, again, as we talked about earlier, not really 5,000 people. So if you have way more than that on your actual band page, then there's a chance you might actually reach more people. But unfortunately, you can only go 5,000 on a personal account, so it's probably gonna go away. So, but as of right now, if you want to hit me up on that, it is Ben Knight Raps. So, but yeah, man, thank you so much for letting me be on here.
Yeah, and hey, it's always open. if you have anything else to talk about, I'll definitely try and keep in touch. I got you here on Skype, so it is what it is. But I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
God bless America, and I love tacos.
Fantastic. Bye-bye. And as promised, here is The Lighter Side of the Dark Knight by Ben Knight.
Take a woman to dinner and a movie, maybe go out dance and show her the bow to see, but inevitably it always happens to me. My date gets cut off short by the Joker and Harley. Guess that's the way it goes. This is the life I chose. Break a criminal's nose, yeah, it helps with my woes. When I'm in the Batmobile, I crank Kiss from a Rose. That song always makes me cry. I wonder if Seal knows. I've always wanted kids, that's why I took in Dick Grayson. Had to stop after Jason Todd. He tried to punch my face in. Would love to meet a girl without a leather suit and claws, who isn't into plans of taking up her father's cause. I know I seem angry, but it's just a mechanism. Just ask Alfred. I've got a sunny disposition. It's not who I am, but what I do that defines me. And what I want to do is let the whole world see. When people look at me, who is it that they see? Bruce Wayne, the billionaire, a cow-wearing freak. There's no escaping, there's no matter how hard I try. I wanna show the lighter side of the dark night. Gordon's always flashing that best signal in the sky when I'm crocheting pod holders, and it's hard to deny that it's hard to fight crime when your nerves are all fried. So I'll watch a little Lifetime, have myself a good cry. Bane wants to break my back, Two-Face's double whack. Poison Ivy's plants are fat, wish my garden looked like that. Riddler's always leaving clues, and Scarecrow is a friend. Would like to have one day where I can have a game night. When people look at me, who is it that they see? Bruce Wayne, the billionaire, a cow-wearing freak. There's no escaping, there's no matter how hard I try. I wanna show the lighter side of the dark night. I'm not just Gotham's Dark Knight, more than a man who fights crime. A vigilante with a poet's heart. When Gordon hits that spotlight, it brings a tear to my eye. I was typecast right from the start. Yeah!